Hey everybody, wait a minute. Am I live? Oh, I guess I am live. I think I'm live. I don't know. Wait, I don't know. Am I live? Whatever. Remove it. Remove that. Hey everybody. This is Geneva of whatever. Geneva's Closet Talk Show. Please make sure you like and share this video and subscribe to Geneva's Closet if you haven't already done so right here on YouTube. And you can follow me on Facebook at what? At Geneva's Closet. And you can email me at Geneva's Closet 22 at gmail.com. Now let's get into this research and history. Hey everybody, happy new year. It is a new year. It is 2025 or so they say. As y'all know, I technically believe that the new year starts in March, the beginning of all new things, springtime, whatever. But for the sake of what the world say, Happy New Year. I hope everyone's New Year is starting off fabulous. I hope you had a great time on New Year's Eve. And on New Year's, you did fabulous things, seen some fireworks, ate some food, whatever. Enjoyed your life. I hope you did. Anyway, we're about to get into it. So I was doing, so this is some research I did based off of something that my mother said that she started researching, and then she told me a little information about it, and that's all it took. Because then I was like, what? And then found out that there's a connection between Al Capone and Chicago's O'Hare Airport. Matter of fact, where did that name even come from? I had never even thought about it, never once. I don't think did I ever sit there and be like, O'Hare Airport, where did that name come from? And even the ORD, don't you know how every airport has their like little initials things? And then I have wondered about that. Why was O'Hare Airport ORD? That part I never understood until I did this research. So let's get into it. What is Al Capone's connection? Let me put this thing on. Hey everybody, how you doing? How you doing? Okay, now I got to get the screen up. And the funny thing is that I was supposed to pre-record this video. Yeah, I didn't feel like it. Did nobody feel like doing all of that? Did not feel like doing all of that. Let's get into it. So, Chicago O'Hare Airport. Come to find out, where's my phone at? Because I got stuff in my phone already, so I know what to go to. Come to find out that July 25th, 1942, you probably got to be like just interested in history because this thing goes on for a little bit because then there's some other information I found out. So let's just get into where O'Hare Airport even came from. July 25th, 1942. Look at that. Farm families out and construction moves in because apparently the project cost $700,000. That the land that O'Hare Airport sits on used to be called Orchard Place. It was a farm. It was a farm area after the Douglas Aircraft Company. So that's the name of the company. The Douglas Aircraft Company announces plans to construct an assembly plant on 1,347 acres. And as a matter of fact, I found that actual, let me see. I found the actual, where is it? The article clipping. What does the article say? The article clipping says, is this it? Yep, this is it. Can y'all see it? Okay, yep, there we go right there. It says, planes to roar off last year's fertile acres. Farm families moved to new homes. The level lands of the prairie is level again. South of Des Plaines is a city, is an area next to Chicago. Man-built structures are gone razed. Since July, 25 farm families have held auctions, moved entire houses, hunted up new farms or city homes, gone through family partings because the Douglas Aircraft Company is moving in on 1,347 acres south of Des Plaines. I said, really, bitch? So that means that O'Hare Airport used to be called Douglas. Douglas, let me see, what was it called exactly? O'Hare Airport used to be called, yeah, Douglas, it was the Douglas area. And this happened in 1942. Then on July 30th, 1943, Douglas Aircraft Plant dedicated the first C-54 Skymaster, then the U.S. Army largest transport plane built in the Douglas Aircraft Factory. Then it was the world's largest cargo plane factory, and it took its maiden's name just 10 months after ground was broken on the main manufacturing building. The huge plant, said by the company to be the largest timber construction in the world, is finished. 4 concrete runways are also ready on the site. So then this was the plans for the Douglas Airport. It was the Douglas Airport, but come to find out, it wasn't an airport. It was after the end of World War II. The plant, what was they doing? Making airplanes? They was making aircrafts. Once employed 7,000 people, closes. Civil leaders urged Chicago's officials to acquire the property, which could potentially double in size for use as the city's main airport, and note its location. So I guess they had decided to make it into the airport. And then there's right there is the Douglas unanimous decision. Former Douglas site should become city's main airport. And this was October 29th, 1945. Who knew that the airport been there so long? And then it was a $40 million project after considering 5 locations. They had considered 5 locations. The airport selection board, appointed by Chicago Mayor Edward Kelly, picks this site, which would need to be purchased from the federal government, as the best choice for the city's post-war airport. Because I think it has something to do with I think they had the Air Force or something was there on the site. A lot of things happened there before it became an actual airport that we know it to be today. The project's estimated for $40 million price tag, cheaper than a proposed lakeside airport and with room to expand. Unlike Chicago Municipal Airport, now Midway International Airport, would include the purchase of additional land to construct a pinwheel-like arrangement of 10 runways around a central administrative center. Look at that. Look at that. So O'Hare Airport was, well, the land was on Orchard Farm. It was originally Orchard Farm. Then the name changed to Douglas Airport because of the aircrafts or whatever. It was the Douglas, it was the aircraft, it was the same thing. So they named it Douglas. But the ORD, that is the 3 initials for the O'Hare Airport, comes from that Orchard Farm. ORD, Orchard, ORCHARD. That's where the ORD comes from. The ORD for Chicago's airport, those 3 initials, that makes absolutely no sense because it doesn't go with Chicago, it doesn't go with airport, it doesn't go with Illinois. That's because it goes with the history of the airport, which is the land it was purchased from, which was Orchard Farm. So that's where that came from. Now, and then what is this? March 22nd, 1946. That's my birthday. City gets former Douglas site for free. Oh, the city gets it for free. After posting an ad listing the property as available, the War Assets Administration hands over the 1,080-acre site to the city of Chicago, while keeping 200 acres to be used by the U.S. Army for storage at no cost. See, I told you it had something to do with the military, was over there too, but there was a catch. If any atom bomb material, this was in 1946, if any atom bomb material were to be discovered at the site, then it had to be turned over to the federal government. Now the city could begin condemnation proceedings to acquire the additional property, which included 2,300 lots, 63 farms, a small cemetery, a golf course, a county school land, and 2 county schools. Need to build out the new airport. Wow, they had to knock all of that down. So that's that thing where people have their properties, people got their homes and stuff, and then the city start trying to pay them off. Here, I'll give you some money for your home because we need this land. So this is what happened back in the 1940s, and then they built the airport on it. Okay, so is that all as far as that? And then is that all as far as that? Now, airport now called O'Hare Airport, and this was in June 22nd, 1949. They changed the name. Now, why did they change the name? And then this is where things start becoming a little just a tad bit interesting, or at least I thought so. Okay, let me go to this next screen. Now we're going to get into Al Capone. Al Capone. We're gonna be getting. I'm gonna be talking about a lot of things. I may be clicking on a lot of things, people. So forgive me if I'm just click clacking. I don't know how long this video is going to be. Let's get into it. I'm going to read some things, then we're going to talk about some things, and I'm going to go and find some other stuff. I'm going to read those, and I'm going to show you some pictures so you can see what I'm talking about. What in the world do Al Capone have to do with O'Hare Airport? Who fucking know? Who knew? Now we knew that Al Capone was a mobster who had came to Chicago about what, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was about 1919. And then they said that he started his crimes and all of this stuff about 1923, 1924, sometime in Chicago. Before that, he was in New York doing his, his crime thingy majig over there in New York. But there's some connection to him in O'Hare Airport. Let's get into it. So this part right here says Big Al, Fast Eddie, Ursula, and Butch. Okay, it says Fast Eddie, which was and his name was Fast Eddie O'Hare. Fast Eddie O'Hare, people, like O'Hare Airport. They're going to picture him right there. It says, but what is not true? Because it starts getting off into some things. What is not true is that Fast Eddie O'Hare turned in his client Al Capone to the feds and the IRS because he wanted his son Butch to learn the value of honesty and integrity. So let me just get into it right quick. So Al Capone had a friend, which really wasn't his a friend. If I'm not mistaken, I think this was his friend slash accountant. This was an accountant. They had been working together for a long time. They had been doing some stuff. Fast Eddie, whose real name was Edward O'Hare Sr., he had been doing a lot of crime stuff. I think he had been doing some stuff as far as the horse races and some gambling and some other stuff. Well, something happened where he eventually turned Al Capone in, and Al Capone ended up going into jail. So this is how we're going to get into it. But what is not true is that Fast Eddie O'Hare turned in his client Al Capone to the feds and the IRS because he wanted his son Butch to learn the value of honesty and integrity. There have been attempts to tell this tale as a story of redemption and a more morality play to demonstrate the importance of recognizing the errors in one's misdeeds, of trying to do right and prevent one's sins from being visited upon future generations. All valuable lessons indeed, but they have little to do with the true story of Fast Eddie, Ursula, Eddie's fiance, Eddie's son Butch, and Al Scarface Capone. Fast Eddie was a St. Louis attorney. Okay, so now we're getting into who he was. Fast Eddie was a St. Louis attorney who ditched his wife, got a divorce, and then moved to Chicago, where he started collaborating with Big Al, Al Capone, both in business and in law. A lot of lettuce tumbled Eddie's way, and the Chicago nightlife was doing him favors. Eddie hooked up with Ursula Sue Granada, if I'm saying her name correctly, whom he planned to marry. But being a good Catholic, he couldn't pull this marriage trigger because of the divorce that he hadn't had yet, which made Ursula none too happy. Eddie sent a lot of dough to the Vatican in hopes that a request for a just whatever, because he wanted to hurry up and get married. But Eddie had to keep on waiting. Eddie was rolling in the green, doing legal work for Al Capone and sharing in the huge profits from these less than noble activities. Besides dancing in the dough, living the high life with Ursula, and grooving with Big Al Capone, Fast Eddie was also an adoring father to his son, Butch, who he tried to give all the best things in life. Butch plays a part in this too, people, this whole O'Hare Airport. But here is when the baloney hits the meat grinder. Fast Eddie could give Butch, his son, all the money could buy. But what he couldn't do was give Butch a good name, a name not tarnished by the smell of associations with gangsters. So, to rectify this, Fast Eddie decided to go to the authorities and admit his crimes. I mean, he decided to tell the truth and turn in evidence of tax evasion by Al Capone to the IRS, thus sending Al Capone to federal prison at Alcatraz. Which is the longest amount of time Al Capone ever spent in jail, which they say was the longest amount of time that anyone has ever gotten for a tax invasion. He got sentenced to 11 years because of this thing that Fast Eddie did. You know, Edward O'Hare Sr. Let me get back into it. Eddie did this knowing that by turning against his boss, Al Capone, and giving states evidence, he could be signing his own death warrant. But this way, Eddie could be doing the right thing by telling the truth and would be teaching Butch, you know, his son, a valuable lesson in integrity. All of this is a towering laughter of fabrication. Is it really? Explain the truth. Fast Eddie did eventually provide valuable information that aided federal authorities in sending Capone to prison for income tax evasion. But he didn't do it because of an attack of conscience or wanting to right the numerous wrongs he had done. No, no. Fast Eddie, Edward O'Hare Sr., he did it because he saw that Al Capone was going down. You stop playing games and tried to save his own skin from going to the big house. He was like, I'm not finna go to jail. The police keep looking at Al Capone, you know, because once Al Capone had did that whole thing with the Valentine's Day massacre, people was not happy about that. Okay, now people was already, but the whole Valentine's Day massacre just sent the public and the police, they really started paying attention to him then. I mean, not that they wasn't already, but really, really, because the Chicago people, the community was just not happy about how all of these people got killed like that with this gun. So not happy about that, okay? So what they're saying is that Fast Eddie was like, oh, hell no. He saw that Al Capone was going down and tried to save his own skin from going to the big house. Cutting a deal with the feds was the easy part, dodging the bullets from the guns of Big Al's apes. Not so easy, because what had happened was that, if I'm not mistaken, even after the St. Valentine's Day massacre, they still couldn't get Al Capone because they had nothing saying that Al did. And as a matter of fact, they questioned Al after that, and he had an alibi. He was somewhere else. So everything they tried to do, as far as, you know, any of his illegal things that he was doing, they could not get him on that. They couldn't. But what they could get him on was all of this money and stuff he had. Now, most of his things was, matter of fact, none of his stuff was in his name. Everything was either in his mom's name or in his wife's name, if I'm not mistaken. So they couldn't even get him as far as that. But that's why they went to Fast Eddie, because Fast Eddie actually had his papers. He had the records. He had the information on where money and stuff was going. So that's the way that they can get him. They couldn't get him from the criminal stuff, but they could get him from tax evasion. So cutting a deal with the feds was the easy part, dodging the bullets. Ed O'Hare was the hard part. So Al goes away to the slammer. Al Capone goes away, and the Chicago outfit is now ran by Frank. This is the Chicago outfit was the mobsters, a group of mobsters doing their thing. And then there's this guy who's running it now, and his name is called Frank the Enforcer Nitty. Now, what happens to Fast Eddie, Butch, and Ursula? Well, on November 8th, 1939, because I forgot when Al Capone got out. Matter of fact, I think Al Capone got out of jail November of 1939, because Al Capone didn't end up spending his whole 11 years in jail because he had called, what did he call? Syphilis. He had called syphilis, and he wasn't doing good, and he started losing his mind. They said that his mind had went to like like a 7-year-old. So he eventually ended up getting out of jail a little bit early. So if I'm not mistaken, I think Al Capone got out of jail November 7th or 8th, 1939. But on November 8th, 1939, Fast Eddie, Edward O'Hare, got into his 1939 Lincoln. He placed a Spanish made 32 caliber pistol on the seat and drove away from his office. As Eddie approached the corner of Hodgkin and Rockwell, a car roared up beside him and two professionals let loose double volleys from shotguns, killing Eddie instantly. You know, I mean, yeah, no, they had got him. As Eddie, no, no, I'm again. In his pocket, in Fast Eddie's pocket, was a rosary, a crucifix, and a poem clipped from a magazine. This is what the poem says. The poem said, "The clock of life is wound but once, and no man has the power to tell just when the hands will stop. At late or early hour, now is the only time you own, live, I don't know, love, toil with a will. Place no faith in time, for the clock may soon be still." Ooh, wee. He knew it was coming. Probably because Al Capone had just got out of jail. Eddie was 46 years old and was a rat who got what he deserved. Mm, okay. Now, years later, Butch O'Hare, remember his son Butch? Butch O'Hare became a Navy pilot in the Pacific Theater during World War II and was awarded the Medal of Honor for his heroic effort in shooting down 5 Japanese bombers in defense of his carrier, the Lexington, thus becoming the Navy's first ace of war. Wow. One of the most daring, if not the most daring single action in the history of combat aviation, said President Roosevelt on November 26, 1943. Let the record show. Wait a minute, let me go back. Let me go back. This was, now who said that? He said this on November 26, 1943. Now, what else was happening at this time? 1943, 1943. November 1943, Douglas Aircraft Plant dedicated the Sky C-54. That was in 1942. That was in July of 1943. Production ends in 95. Okay, during a night on November 26, 1943, during a night mission, Butch was shot down and lost at sea. There's evidence that indicates he was killed by friendly fire. Butch O'Hare was suitably honored when the Chicago airport, once known as Orchard Depot, was renamed O'Hare International in 1949 and continues today as the world's busiest airport. I said, really, bitch? Really, bitch? Let's continue. Now, we can't forget about Ursula. Remember the lady who Eddie Sr., Fast Eddie Sr., was trying to marry, but he couldn't marry because he still had his divorce and he was trying to pay the Vatican to hurry up and get his divorce so he can marry Ursula well. And then remember Frank, the enforcer Nettie, who had took over the little mob group thing once Al Capone had went to jail for that tax evasion. Remember them? Well, anyway, several months after Fast Eddie was killed, his fiancee, Ursula, she married Frank, the enforcer Nettie, the boss who ordered Eddie's murder. Now, Ursula, she got to be scandalous. More than Frank, the enforcer Nettie. So Frank ordered for, or was it Al Capone? But whatever. He had Fast Eddie killed and then marry his fiance. But we know we know Frank the Enforcer Nettie, he don't care because he had Fast Eddie killed, Eddie O'Hare killed. But Ursula, she was supposedly in love with Fast Eddie. And then he got killed. And just several months later, you married the guy who set him up to have. I mean, that whole mob thing. Yeah, no, they wasn't. Can't trust those good time gals, and you can't trust a slimy brat mouthpiece. Who they talking about? They talking about Fast Eddie O'Hare. So this is what I got from this story. So I had read the story, and I said, wait a minute, wait a cotton picking minute, wait a minute. So this is what I'm gathering. Chicago was getting sick of Al Capone. They were getting sick of him. Okay. He was doing too much. There was too much killing and stuff going on. They kept trying to get him to go to jail. He would not go to jail. And then, like I said, after that Valentine's Day massacre, they about had enough. They couldn't get him for anything. Then they end up going to talking to Fast Eddie, and Fast Eddie was like, "Y'all finna take him down. You're not finna take me down. To what information do you need? I'll give it to you." And then you give him the information, and then let me see. When did I'm gonna have to get this information? When did Al Capone get out of jail? Al Capone, Al Capone got out of jail for tax invasion. Tax invasion. No. Wait a minute. Now, when was he killed? Did they say November 8th? 32 caliber on November 8th, 1939? No. Al Capone got out like 8 days later. He got out 8 days later. Al Capone was released from prison on November 16th, 19. So they had this man killed before Al Capone got out of jail. Ain't that some stuff? 8 days before. So I'm pretty sure he had to Fast Eddie had to had known that. That's why he was sitting there with that pistol, because he knew that his time was coming. Especially when he heard that Al Capone was getting out of jail. I bet he was. So anyway, so then he sits up here and he tells and he gives all of this information. And then, matter of fact, let's find the pictures. Let's get the pictures of when. Let me see. Let me see. Fast Eddie and Al Capone. Okay. We're gonna see these images. We won't he do it today? We gonna do it today. Where is it? Is this him? Is this the picture when he was killed? Because you know they be showing them pictures when the people was killed. You be like, can you show that? Was you had you? I guess you can, because they. Oh, okay. Now this one got better pictures. And then share. And what am I sharing? I'm sharing. I didn't even see this page. Look at that. Look at that. Now where's the here go Fast Eddie. Now where's the picture at with him? The opening of the new track. Mayor Cicero. I mean, this story goes the okay. Now here he go right here. Here go a picture of Fast Eddie slumped at the wheel of his car after he was shot to death in 1939. And here go his son, Butch O'Hare. So then they finally get Al Capone. They get him to go to jail, and then later on they say to and then his Fast Eddie is killed, and then years later they're naming O'Hare Airport after his son Butch O'Hare, because they say Butch O'Hare had did, he had did something wonderful. So I'm like, but then where did they even get his name from to then decide that they wanted to name something after him? So now let me go to Butch O'Hare. Let's go to Butch O'Hare on Wikipedia. Um, yes, people, yes. Because then when I end up going a little bit further into this and finding out where did they even get his name from, because that's what we're about to skip to. We're about to skip to. So now we know where the O'Hare name comes from. There was a guy who turned Al Capone in, who was named Butch O'Hare, who had a son that was Butch O'Hare Jr. And that's where he got his name. That's where O'Hare Airport got his name from. But why did they decide to name it after this guy? Because then that's what I found. Interesting. So here go his Wikipedia, his early life, his daddy, yada yada yada. He did what he did. Is they do they go into the O'Hare Airport thing on here? Mm, okay, O'Hare, blah blah blah. St. Louis, Mayor D. Whitley, Maui, Decker. Wait a minute, let me find it. Mm, oh, you know what? Maybe it's over here. I'm trying to get this person's name who said that. Who said that? They named it O'Hare. It's named O'Hare. O'Hare becomes international. Runway X, now called O'Hare. Mm, oh, here we go. Here we go. Now, you got to be from Chicago. Don't you remember that story that I just did the other day where I was talking about that attorney, Jay-Z, the attorney that's going after Jay-Z, and then you end up doing a research on his wife and finding that history from his wife. Now this is where it starts getting interesting for me. And I was like, okay, I'm not going. I'm not going. There was some connection thing in Chicago, and y'all purposely named O'Hare Airport after this O'Hare guy. Like, I feel like they did it as if they owed him something, or as if Edward Sr. Eddie Sr. had did something for Chicago, so they felt obligated to, like, no, no, we're not going. Let me stop the screen, present this, and now we're going to go back to this page. We're going to go back to this. I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over the place, people. This is how research go, and they need to make StreamYard a little bit easier. I mean, I shouldn't have to keep clicking off and clicking back on. Like, this is too difficult. This is too difficult for me to show full research on. I got to be trying to figure out what page I'm on next, whatever. It says O'Hare, June 22nd, 1949. June 22nd, 1949. June 22nd, 1949. So 10 years after Eddie Sr. was killed, Edward Sr. votes the airport will be renamed in honor of Lieutenant Commander Edward Butch O'Hare, a U.S. Navy aviator who received a Congressional Medical Medal of Honor for placing his plane between a USS Lexington, an aircraft carrier, and 9 Japanese bombers, shooting down 5 of them and damaging a 6th on February 20th, 1942. He was killed in action on November 26, 1943, during the Navy's first nighttime fighter attack from a U.S. aircraft attacker. Chicago Tribune, here we go. Chicago Tribune editor and publisher Robert McCormick is credited with being the person to suggest O'Hare's name for the airport. In an April 19th, 1947 radio address, McCormick talked to the nation's military heroes and the speed with which they are forgotten. He said public facilities should be named in honor of them. And the funny thing was that I was not even going to look up this man. But then after keep looking and checking back, and I came back to his name, I was like, now who the hell is Robert McCormick? That's what I had said. Let's get into it. Let's see, who in the hell is Robert McCormick? Let me type this man name in so we can stop playing, because then you end up finding out all of these people is connected. And then I don't even like the way that they even said that. I'm offended by the way in which that I just read this. The fact that this thing says an editor, Chicago Tribune editor and publisher, Robert McCormick. And then they say on April 19th, 1947, he did a radio address. I mean, they minimized the shit out of this man, because when you read that, you was like, oh, okay, like some writer. Oh, he's just a writer. Oh, okay. And he had a radio. He was on a radio, and he said that people should name. Mm-mm. That nope, y'all lying. Stop lying. Don't do that. Don't say that to the people. We gonna tell the truth about this. Okay, we're gonna present this. Stop that, and then let's present this man. Who in the hell is Robert McCormick? Well, Robert Rutherford Colonial McCormick was an American publisher, lawyer, and businessman, a member of the McCormick family. God damn it, StreamYard. Can I stay on this channel or is y'all finna click and put me on another page? Can I stay on this page? Am I still on this page? Won't he do it? Okay. Look at this, the McCormick family. Look at the McCormick. Look at that. The McCormick family of Chicago. You got to be from Chicago to even know what I'm talking about. Don't you know the Chicago people, all my Chicago people who have traveled to Chicago and went to the Essence Fest? Have y'all ever went to the Essence Fest in Chicago? It's at the McCormick place. They are a well-known old time, family from Chicago. Let's get into it. The McCormick family of Chicago and Virginia is an American family of Scottish and Scottish-Irish descent that attained prominence and fortune, starting with the invention of the McCormick Reaper. And you don't even want me to get into what that is. A machine that revolutionized agriculture and established the modern grain trade by beginning the mechanical whatever of the harvesting of grain. Anytime you got all old time Caucasian people doing anything with the fields, just like I said with the cotton and railroads and oil, that's old time money. Ooh. Through the McCormick Harvesting Machine Company and later the International Harvester Company and other investments, the McCormick became one of the wealthiest families in America. The name became whatever in agriculture starting in the 19th century, and the press dubbed the McCormicks the Reapers Kings. I don't even know what that means. I don't know. But then I came over here to this side. Do you see this box over here that has the three McCormick people in there? You see Robert McCormick Jr., Cyrus Hall McCormick, and Joseph Medill McCormick, if I'm saying that correctly. Then it say their current region, Chicago, Illinois, Virginia, place of origin, Ireland, founded 1700s, founder Thomas McCormick, and connected families. Who do you see on the connected families? I'm going to go, and then I'm going to come right back. Medill and Rockefeller. I said, really, bitch? Really, bitch? I don't even know who Medill is, but we know who Rockefeller. So they're family. So this man that is connected to the Medill and the Rockefellers. Now, what do they have to do with? Matter of fact, let's go back. Let's go back to him. Now, who is he again? Who is this man? He is on his father's side. No, matter of fact, let's go back. Let's go to the back. Family members quickly nicknamed him Birdie because so many relatives shared the name, including his late paternal great-grandfather, Robert McCormick. His maternal grandfather was Chicago Tribune's editor and former Chicago mayor, Joseph Medill. So that's the Medill man. He was a mayor of Chicago, on whose estate McCormick would live for much of his life. On the estate. He lived on the estate. And, his eldest brother, Joseph Medill McCormick, Medill and McCormick, known as Medill McCormick. Okay. All right. And they got something to do with the House of Representatives, the bar in 1907, which represented the Chicago Tribune. I mean, so this is the man who said, so they, like, oh, he just a publisher. Oh, he just an editor. Who is Joseph Medill? Who is that? This is the Medill man? Now, who the hell is he? Medill purchased the Coshocton Democratic Whig, then renamed the paper as the Democratic Whig. And he was later by the Ziller and who else? He's the co-owner and managing editor of the Chicago Tribune, and he was the mayor of Chicago from after the Great Chicago Fire, 1971 to 1973. Yeah, basically. So, and didn't they say this is an Irish family? Didn't they say this was an Irish family? Yeah, I did think it. It said it was an Irish family. Go to McCormick, Ireland. So this Ireland old school family from Chicago, they was about sick of them Italians. The Italians was running amok in Chicago, just doing a whole bunch of stuff. And maybe they had became friends. This is what I'm thinking now. Maybe they had became friends with, because they wanted to be done with all that Italian, like they wanted to take over because you know how these people are. Like they're like, no, you ain't finna be running Chicago. We gonna run Chicago. So we sick of y'all trying to take over. We want to take over. So then you're trying to get the Italians up out of there. You're trying to get Al Capone out of there. You can't figure it out. Then you become friends with O'Hare. O'Hare helps you out, but you don't got his back for real, because you ain't watching him for real, because then he end up getting killed. So, but then his son goes over to the Navy with the Air Force, whatever, and then he goes over there and then he fights and he get killed. They had to have known this, because then you can't tell me that then this McCormick man gives a care about an old hair. I mean, unless y'all are friends, you know each other, y'all done kept in touch, and you did this because his father had. I really don't think it has anything to do with him. I think because his father is the one who helped y'all stop with all the Italian stuff and get Al Capone up out of there, get Al Capone up out of Chicago, which then after that end up seizing a lot of the drama and stuff. Eventually the police start getting people and then cutting all of that out. That's what I think that happened. So I was just like, wow, that is very interesting. There is actually a connection between Al Capone and O'Hare Airport. So there you go. That's that's the history on O'Hare Airport. And then this man, Robert McCormick Jr., was an American inventor who lived in rural Virginia. His maternal grandparents were Scottish immigrants. They were Scottish immigrants, Presbyterian immigrants, born in whatever, in Ireland. Hmm. So then does it go back to him? His father was Robert McCormick. Okay, so this is the original. So we going to him first. And then it starts trickling on down. Yeah, there you go. I think I did that in a good amount of time. I don't think that took me as long as I thought it was going to take me. Happy New Year. You visited Al Capone's. Now that's pretty cool. Now that is pretty cool to visit Al Capone's his cell. But then that just makes you wonder, like, okay, like what is Las Vegas airport called? Las Vegas. I don't even know what the airport is called out here. Las Vegas Airport. The Harry Reid. Now, who the hell is Harry Reid? Because I always thought Harry Reid was a baseball player or something. I don't even know why I thought that. Oh, wait a minute. Harry Reid, who they named, oh, hell yeah. Harry Reid just passed away in 2021. Harry Reid Jr. was an American lawyer and politician who served as United States Senator from Nevada from 1987 to 2017. Oh, and that's who they named. See, now that's just a simpler story. You see how simple that is? He just passed away in 2021. These are the things he did. And they named the airport after him. But this whole O'Hare and Al Capone thing, like you never know. I just found that so interesting. But anyway, people, I'm done with my research. I just want to come on here and tell you that. Whenever I find out something that I think is interesting, I'm going to come on here and try to show it to you. But this was just a bunch of nonsense. How you got to keep clicking on things and clicking off the page and clicking back on the page just to show you all stuff. That's a lot of work. But anyway, people, thank you for joining me today for this little bit of history, this little bit of airport Chicago history research stuff. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. And how do I end my stuff? Thank you, people, for watching me. And could you please like and share this video and subscribe to Geneva's Closet if you haven't already done so right here on YouTube. And you can follow me on Facebook at Geneva's Closet. And you can email me at genevascloset22@gmail.com. You all have a fabulous day, and I'll talk to you later, people. Bye.
I would like to know how you all feel about this situation, and while you are letting me know, could you please like and share this video and subscribe to Geneva's Closet if you haven't already done so right here on YouTube. And you can follow me on Facebook at Geneva's Closet, and you can email me at genevascloset22@gmail.com. You all have a fabulous day, and I will talk to you later. Bye.